Yo, what is good, family? Hope you all are having an amazing day. Let's kick it off today with this brand new video. We're gonna go over all the setups we've had, the significant setups in the swing system, in the M5R, and everything, and basically, pretty much just a quick overview of the current market and price action. So, first things first, let's go over Bitcoin. We had the exit getting hit on the swing that we had from here. First of all, let me mute all of this. Good. So we had the exit getting hit on this setup, which was on March 9th. We broke this down on the live sessions. We broke this down also on the private app. And I think right here in YouTube, we also broke this down. But anyways, we came from this 1 to 9. We then took this 1 to 2.5. And then we took this one. Right here, we had two invalidations before this trade. And we had another invalidation before this trade. But anyways, this is a pretty much a very good market cycle with all these trades. Basically, after getting the exit hit on this trade, we added another 1 to 4.28 to the bag, and we created another higher high, right? So after doing another higher high, we have to understand also what's the real buildup that we had in this situation. Basically, we had the low, high, higher low, higher high, higher low, and the higher high was created right here. We will go over this distribution right now in a second, but we are still in the same range that we did at the beginning of February. We have the 4 hours significant lower high, significant lower low. So basically, we are bearish on the significant structure. Now, on the internal, as you can see, we're bullish. We're doing this bullish buildup. Therefore, when we took this higher high and we hit the exit on the buy, on the swing buy, which was this one, we entered again on the strong supply area based on the 4 hours bearish range and the whole range to the downside. As soon as price hit the level, we enter on that area. Same thing as we did here. Now, what's the difference between the sell right here and this sell? Because as you can see, right here, I have the exit at the lower low. Right here, we took the exit at this daily POI. Why this difference? Well, first of all, you have to see one thing. And when this sell happened, we had this 4 hours internal higher high. This was a very big internal structure. This means that this sell could have the demand areas affecting the way that market performed on the way to the downside. So pretty much when we are taking a sell and we have an opposite demand that is valid, we have to take the trade as the exit on the demand area. That's the rule. Now, in this scenario, why are we taking the exit right here at the generic lower low? Pretty simple. In the 4 hours, we had higher high, higher low, higher high. Good. We all understand that, right? Now, after doing this higher high, market goes and does this higher low, higher high, higher low, higher high. So this is what I call a compression of the price action. When we have the price doing a lot of distance between higher highs, for example, we understand that the structure, the trend is strong. At some point, price will hit a supply area, and then the higher highs will have less distance between each other. When I say less distance, I mean in a vertical way. The pips in between this high and this high is, for example, 2000. The distance between this high and this high is 380. Do you see the difference? This is what we call a compression of the price action. I don't mean on a horizontal way, because we can have this. and this is more extended than, for example, this. You see, there is more horizontal distance between higher highs than here. All right, so we're talking about vertical distance, the distance in pips between higher highs. So yeah, basically, understanding now what a compression of the price action is, we can go over this 4 hours structure again. And basically, we had high, higher low, higher high, higher low, higher high. This is something very important because now when we go to the 1 hour, we first of all had this sell. Why the sell? Pretty simple. In the 1 hour, we can perfectly mark up the structure like this. This was the high, higher low, higher high. Internally, we had low, high, higher low, higher high. That means that we had this break and close to the downside. So having this break and close to the downside means that we actually have a reversal below the last internal 1 hour higher low. Now, it's okay the fact it is internal. The only thing we have to make sure is that the higher high of the 1 hour reversal is tapping into the strong supply area in the 4 hours, which is this one that we were just breaking down. How do we know that price is tapping into a strong supply in the 4 hours? Well, you will have your 4 hours range, and then the 1 hour will create some kind of pullback. This is valid. This is a generic higher low. Obviously, this is a valid setup. Let's say this hits invalidation. Now the higher high was created right here. So this is the significant higher low. This is the significant higher high. Now this is the internal structure. Internal higher high, internal higher low, internal higher high, internal higher low, significant higher high. This is an internal higher low. But this is valid if this higher high is tapping into this area. Now, Charlie, can you give me an example where the 1 hour reversal is not tapping into the 4 hours strong supply? Sure. Sometimes you will have this. Let's say that now market goes, let's say, a little bit to the downside. All right. Goes straight to the upside. Then goes lower and does this. Okay. This is an internal 1 hour reversal. But this high is not tapping into the 4 hours strong supply. If we look to the left, boom, the first thing we have is this. This is not the 4 hours strong supply. The strong 4 hour supply is this one. So you just go to the left and say, oh, the first thing we find is the strong 4 hours supply. But right here, we look to the left, boom, we have this one, which is a 1 hour higher high. So this is not valid. What you want is seeing the 1 hour, in this case, the 1 hour high, respecting the H4 supply area, which is basically what we had right here. All right. If we zoom out, we can see if we throw a line to the left, oops. If we throw a line to the left, the first thing we find, boom, is the 4 hours bearish range. So that's valid. And that was a setup that I took and it hit invalidation. Now, after hitting invalidation, we have another scenario. We have another trade. Let me remove all of this so we have a clean chart. Well, at least the cleanest chart we can have with such a massive amount of trades. Basically, we have this invalidation. High, higher low, higher high, higher low, higher high. If you have not seen the M5R videos, go and check them. You have the playlist in the channel. When a candle breaks previous candle's low, we consider the low of this candle a higher low. So we have a higher low that makes a higher high. This 1 hour high is obviously tapping again into the 4 hours strong supply. And after tapping into the strong supply, it reverses, breaks the 1 hour reversal, well, breaks the 1 hour higher low, closes below it. So this is a trade. Invalidation goes above the high, right? In the exit, Now we go over the exit, but I want you guys to understand the entry and the invalidation. Now with this being said, let's go over the exits. Because at the time of the entry, we were inside of the 4 hours internal range, we're always going to prioritize the exit inside of the range. So this is our trade. This is the invalidation. We're always going to prioritize to exit inside of the range. Same thing as we did right here. Simply because this can happen. All right, market respects the demand area inside of the 4 hours internal range, and it can create another higher high. Exactly what it happened. But we also look for a minimum risk to reward ratio. We look at least for a 1-to-1. Now, if we look for a 1-to-1 and we don't have a 1-to-1 inside of the range, we're supposing that for the trade to give the 1-to-1, it has to break the 4 hours internal range. Because the trade is valid. I'm not going to stop taking this trade because it doesn't give me a 1-to-1 to the 4 hours internal. I mean, we are in favor of the generic bias, makes sense, trade is valid. Why am I not going to take it? Simply because it doesn't give me a 1-to-1 inside of this internal range, doesn't make sense. So the trade is valid. For me to give a 1-to-1, it has to break the 4 hours internal higher low, sorry. This means that I'm supposing that price must break the higher low. If the market breaks the higher low, it means that it's going to turn bearish on the internal structure. And also, the generic is bearish. This means that the internal and the generic will be correlated in the same direction. If that's the scenario, I will always look for the lower low. In this case, the significant generic lower low. Sometimes it will be a 1-to-1. Sometimes it will be a 1-to-2. This time is a 1-to-7. All right, so it will depend. This scenario, because it's a big structure and everything, happens that it is a big risk to reward ratio. But this same setup, not every single time is going to be such as a big risk to reward ratio. In fact, the previous one that hit invalidation, it was a 1-to-10, right? It will not happen every single time this way, all right? It will happen a lot of times that for you to have the 1-to-1, it must break the internal range. The internal range will be then in favor of the generic, and you will place the exit at the higher high or lower low of the generic structure. And that will not give you a 1-to-7, but this time it is. So yeah, that's basically why I'm looking for the exit right here. Long story short, because for me to give me the 1-to-1, it has to break the internal, then the internal will be in favor of the generic. Therefore, I look for the lower low on the generic. On the other hand, right here, we had already a 1-to-2.5 to this demand area inside of the 4 hours internal. So you can see the difference, right? But yeah, with this being said, family, that's pretty much it. How much time we have already? 13 minutes. We can break something down a little bit more. That's everything for Bitcoin. But we are still playing with the euro and the pound, obviously. So let's break them down. Yesterday, I was able to take these two trades on the euro and the pound. They are not looking that good as they were looking yesterday, I have to say. But we had the 4 hours time frame breaking the structure. We had a low, lower high, lower low, BOS, internal structure, low, high, higher low, higher high. As you can see, this fib retracement gave the 50%, market tapped the 50%, we go for the 1 hour, and then we see the break and close. 1 hour candle breaks and closes above the last lower high. In this case, it is an internal lower high. Same thing that we broke down just a few moments ago. High, low, lower high, lower low. Internally, high, low, lower high, lower low. Why is this valid? Because the 1 hour low is tapping into the strong demand of the 4 hours. So that is valid. Break and close happens. We don't have a 1-to-1 to the higher high. So I look for the 1.618. I just throw the fib from the high to the higher low. and I mark up the 1.618. 1 to 1.14, market almost hit the exit, and then now it's melting. So let's see what happens with this one. This is still at risk, no break even, no partials taken. So if this eventually hits the invalidation, I will just take the L, and that's it. Now I don't really care. Why? Because I understand the power of treating the trading account in the trading portfolio in the same way as someone treats a crypto portfolio or a stocks portfolio. I diversify it between multiple pairs, multiple systems, multiple timeframes. So in the 5 minutes today, we were able to capitalize on this short, which was a 1 to 2.46. I'm not going to break down this strategy. That's too much for the YouTube channel. And by the way, we share all of these ideas on the private app that I have and manage every single day with the students. But yeah, that's basically it. It doesn't really matter that the swing system now hits invalidation because we took an intraday setup this morning, which is way smaller. We only grabbed 12 pips. This one is 44 pips invalidation. But if you're still one of those persons that takes in consideration pips as win or losses in your trading, you have a lot to work on, right? You don't have to follow that path because this trade catching 12 pips is covering the potential losses from this trade with 44 pips. It's everything about risk reward ratio, not pips amount. And I'm keen into this because still a lot of people are taking pip counts for the results in their trading, and you're just lost it in your performance, in your data, if you're still taking pip counts as performance metrics. But yeah, basically that's it for the euro today. And then for the pound, we have a very similar situation. We had in the 1 hour time frame yesterday, 4 hours. Well, in the 4 hours, we had the low, lower high, and then the lower low, break of a structure, and then internally we had low, high, higher low, higher high. In the 1 hour, pretty much the exact same thing as with the euro. We throw the fib from the low to the high, market taps the 1 hour, taps the 50%, and we had the break and close happening right here. So yeah, basically this was the break and close, invalidation below the low. We didn't have a one-to-one to the higher high, therefore I placed the 1.618. Anyways, we didn't have a one-to-one to the 1.618, so I looked for a opposite supply area, which was the closest one, in this case a daily POI, which gives a 1 to 1.17. So that's pretty much it for the swing system. As you can see right here, we took another intraday setup on the pound in the M5, but this one was actually a bit of a scam from the price, quite ugly. We took it, you see the beautiful trade, but I cut it earlier when the market basically gave me a reversal pattern that I look for in order for me to get out earlier. So I was taken out right here at this moment in time. Market kept going up, almost hit the invalidation, and today was one of those times when the cut early protocol didn't work in my favor. It doesn't have to work in your favor every single time. The most important thing is that out of 1,000 samples, the cut early protocol makes you money. That's pretty much the simplest answer. It can be a cut early protocol for me. It can be a break even protocol for you. It can be a taking partials protocol for you. For example, in my case, with my entry models, taking partials is not worth it. Break even is not worth it. But the cut early is the most significant one, the one that gives the most amount of improvements on the expected value. So I don't really care that today we have this happening. It's unfortunate, but based on data, this is the best performance we can have, which is actually missing out on this trade, because on 1,000 samples moving forward, this is insignificant. And actually, the cutting early protocol will outperform any other protocol that I have. Hence why I still do it, although we have beautiful traits like this happening some days. All right, and you don't have to really care about them. Anyways, if both swing systems, euro and the pound, hit invalidation, look, it is what it is. It happens. Doesn't really matter. All right, we have multiple trades, and actually we are on a plus 10R for the month on the swing system, so doesn't really care. Doesn't really matter if we have two invalidations in a row with this system. We also have Bitcoin running with this other swing. So yeah, that's pretty much everything. All right, guys. I don't want to make the video longer than needed. But remember that on the description of the video, you have the link to my Instagram. You can talk to my DMs and ask if I have available spots for the private group of students. If I do, you guys will be able to get access to all my intensive courses with all my strategies. Also access to all my live analysis sessions from Monday to Friday in Spanish and English, where I give all these type of ideas live, explained live, executed live, and managed live. And also you will have access to the private app where I send all my market ideas in Forex and crypto that happen outside of the session with further explanations. With this being said, family, see you in the next videos. Take care and enjoy. Let's get it.